The idea, the concept of standing as awareness or standing as consciousness, and I'm wondering how one works with that, or...
I have a very simple definition for that. Since consciousness is our real identity, we stand as consciousness every time we don't stand as anything else.
Okay.
That's simple.
Right.
You see, for instance, John Doe, the actor, right? Sometimes he stands as Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, Prospero, etc. But when he doesn't stand as one of those, he doesn't need to do anything special to be John Doe. Right? He's John Doe naturally.
So it's a negation almost of... See, I've been hearing it as a practice, particularly to use when, lost and not in touch with...
In my view, practice is not as good as understanding.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So, and what is important is this, is that since it is our natural, our real identity, consciousness, the moment we release any other identity we were acting under, like Macbeth, Othello, etc., at that very moment, all we need to do is release the false identity to be what we are, right? And from that moment on, we are taking our stand as consciousness. You see? Up until at some point, we start acting in a new play, right? And then we lose our stand. So that's very important, because it's very important to understand that it doesn't require any positive activity on our behalf. So it's very relaxing. That which was exhausting, in fact, is the acting to be a different identity. You see, but we are so used to it that the opposite seems true. That acting is natural, and that being what we really are seems artificial. But we have to understand that when we, in other words, what does it mean also not to be Macbeth, Othello, etc.? It means simply, it suffices not to know what our identity is. The problem is not that we don't know enough, is that we know too much. Right. So all that is required is to release the false knowledge. I believe to be a body, I believe to be a human being, I to be my personal history, all of that stuff. Right. We don't know that the reality which is hearing these words was born on your birth, on your birthday. No. We don't know that, so why stick to it, you see? Right. But the moment we don't know what we are naturally, spontaneously, effortlessly that which we are. That has to be understood, because then it puts an end to any attempt to manipulate something, to make something, to create something, to create a state.
So, when one, I or any of us, recognize that we're identified with some ignorance, some Macbeth, but something more familiar than Macbeth, some pattern of our own life, to relax, to remember that we don't know who we are.
Yes, first we have to establish the connection there is between the pattern we notice. Because usually what we do when we are on this path, there is a tendency to still be on the personal improvement business. Yeah. That when we notice that we are subjected to a pattern, we try to deal with the pattern. In other words, we try to suppress it, to control it, etc. Whereas, in fact, it's better to see what is the origin of the pattern. Because instead of trying to destroy the pattern, to ask questions nicely, to love the pattern in a sense, so that the pattern can tell you this history. I am angry at this guy because he dared say that to me, or do that to me. So then the pattern is telling the story. Why am I angry? Because this guy said that to me. So then you can ask the question, well, where would this pattern be unless, if I wouldn't believe to be a separate me? You see? So then you connect the pattern that has come to the surface to the self-enquiry. And then you connect it to this not knowing who you are. You see? And at that moment, when you connect to the not knowing who you are, it's like in the preferences, on the pull-down menu. When all the preferences are checked out, the application still runs. It runs in its default state, right? So basically, right? So what you do, you have to uncheck the preference, I am a separate person. And in the submenu, in fact, there are many lines, because there are many characters that we play. Yes. But the moment we kind of push the reset button, we reset the firmware back to the factory settings.
But that's interesting. So you let the pattern show itself enough that you can see where the me is in there. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
and then
you can see the origin of the pattern. In other words, that which triggers the pattern. If that cause weren't there, the pattern wouldn't be there. Right. So the moment you connect with the cause, you don't need to destroy the pattern. The pattern is, the other image I use is like, the Speedy Gonzales on the... Yeah. On the plateau, and then there is a cliff. And for a while, it is there, and then poof, he falls. You see? So the moment you have removed the support of the pattern, Speedy Gonzales is no longer here. Speedy Gonzales is here, so he cannot run for too long in this position.
Okay. Thank you.